One day, I will genuinely do a video about exercises for photography, physical exercises. Today though, today's a different kind of exercise. Morning all, and welcome to a lovely early morning in the Peak District. It's actually not that early anymore. I've been out a while. I tried to get a nice sunrise photo, but it didn't particularly work. There wasn't much of a sunrise. This video is sponsored by Lumix, and the whole point of this video today is to, well, basically try a little exercise that I like to do every once in a while. Probably don't do it as much as I should, which is to go out to an area, any area, and just use one focal length. So I'm going to use this 25mm prime. It doesn't have to be a prime, it can be a zoom at one focal length. But the point of this is to try and get my photography rust off. I've not really done all that much shooting in the past couple of months because I've been inside doing inside type work, and therefore I'm a little bit rusty, and shooting at one focal length can really hone in your eye to compositions again and trying to find nice shots if, like me, you haven't been shooting much and you're a bit rusty. So yeah, that's the aim of today. I don't know how much I'll be shooting at this focal length. To be honest, I may cheat, because the trick with this is to come out on days which aren't that good for things like light and conditions. And today there is a bit of mist around in the trees and the forests and stuff, so if that persists, well, it might just be too good a day to shoot and I might be tempted to try and use other focal lengths. But I'm going to try my best to not, and to just keep the 25mm on. See how we get on. Should have bought thicker gloves. My first observation. So using just one focal length is really physically and mentally taxing. It's physically taxing because you have to zoom with your feet, but it's mentally taxing because you have to work really, really hard to find anything that resembles a decent composition. But the point of this is not to find portfolio quality images. As I said, the point of it is to get your eye in and start to recognize what makes a good photo, regardless of whether the image you have in mind is possible with the lens that you have with you. Yeah, that's the real point here. But it is hard work. Luckily all the mist's gone, so I'm not tempted to use something else. Also, I'm cheating a little bit here by using such a standard focal length. The 25 is a full frame equivalent of 50mm, which, I mean, is kind of similar to how you see the world anyway, so you kind of, you know what a photo's going to look like roughly before you put the camera to your eye. I think it still works though. And to be honest, I would have made life easier for myself if I'd used a wider focal length than 25, because, well, I'm in the woods. It's definitely not what I'd call a confidence-inspiring process, I know that much, but it is useful. I've just spotted some deer, which I'm definitely not going to be able to take photos of with the 25mm. Oh dear, I'm cheating. Got the 35-100 on. It's deer, innit? Got to try. But because we're in the woods and it's a messy woods, I've not really got a photo that isn't really distracting. The antlers kind of just blend into the twigs, so it doesn't really work. Worth a go though. Right, I'm back on the 25. Tried to get the deer to move, but they wouldn't. Said they're on strike. Something about a pensions dispute. Anyway, one of my favourite things about shooting with one focal length is that for me, it helps me get rid of my tendency to only look as far as the eye can see. That's basically my fault as a photographer. Whenever I get to a location, I basically look to the horizon and try and work out what I can take a photo of that incorporates that. And very rarely do I look at things closer to me in the first instance, which means that 80% of the time I'm taking photos of kind of vistas and stuff rather than details. For some reason, when I use a standard focal length and only use that, it forces me to reconsider things and I end up taking photos much closer to home. No idea why that is. In hindsight, I probably should have got a street photographer to come and talk about some of this stuff, because typically they get by with one focal length, or flourish with one focal length even, and well, I don't, which is why this is a good exercise for me. Prime example of why this exercise is so good and annoying is well, here. So I don't know if you can see, but there's a waterfall in the background, and in front of it there are trees that kind of frame that waterfall along with these rocks. Now ideally, I mean, I'll take a photo to show you. Ideally, I'd be using a slightly longer focal length, which would help me frame this much, much better. Now I can crop, and to be honest, it's not a perfect image anyway. It's really, really messy, to say the least. But the point is that I've seen the potential of that image, and it's not the end of the world that I've not been able to get it, particularly because it's by no means perfect. The point is that I've seen it, and that's the aim of the game with this exercise. So that back there was a pretty good example, for me at least. I don't know about for you, but for me, if I had access to all my lenses, there's no way I'd have even bothered stopping at that, because it's not a good photo. Like I said, it's a really messy scene, it's just a bit bleh. But when you constrict yourself to one focal length, you become so desperate to try and find something to take a photo of that you start exploring options like that, even when they're not perfect. And because you're doing that constantly over and over and over, it's a much quicker way of getting rid of rust than using all of the focal lengths where you're actually looking for really good photos. Because with this, you're just desperate, and that forces you to work harder, I think. Seems to me anyway. I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but other people that I've spoken to find a similar thing. I'm still on the hunt for things to take photos of. I wish I'd chosen a wider focal length to film this video with, because no doubt by now I've shown you some pictures which I'm probably a bit embarrassed of. But as I keep saying, this is an exercise. The point of it is not portfolio images. The point is to get ready for proper images. Training, photography training. I don't know why I'm walking with such conviction this way. I can't see anything particularly good. So you might be thinking, if the aim of this is not to take like portfolio images, images that you're really, really happy with, then what do you take photos of? What do you point your camera at? And the answer is broadly the same thing as you usually would. So if you see something that catches your eye, then the aim of the game is to try and take a photo of that. The difference is that you don't have all the tools at your disposal to play the game of maths that is photography. In other words, a lot of the time I use focal lengths, different focal lengths, to try and subtract all the distractions out of the image and add things into the image that I think improve it. When you only have one focal length, you don't have that option, so you succeed less in removing distractions and adding things that improve an image. But because I explained before, you're putting yourself in much tougher situations than you otherwise would because you're desperate for photos, you typically recognise faster what the distractions are, how you'd ordinarily get rid of them, and how you'd include other things that improve the image. And that, in essence, is the point of what I'm doing here. I think I've explained that over and over again, to be honest, in this video. Maybe I haven't. I can't really remember what I've recorded. As I said, it was an early morning, but hopefully you're getting the gist of why I'm bothering doing this and why it might be helpful to you as well. I'll be honest, I'm a bit sick of the woods now though. It might not look like it, but I'm getting my eye in. It's coming back. It's coming back. You see that wall there? Well, the last time I came here, which is the only other time I've been here, there were loads of climbers on it. And I was hoping today to take some photos of climbers, and that was going to be a big part of the video in how I got the rust off, the photography rust. Not going to happen though, because there's no one up there. On the subject of climbing though, I watched Meru. Is that how you say it? Meru, the other day, the Jimmy Chin documentary where they just go straight up a Himalayan face and he films it. Unbelievable. I absolutely loved it, and I need to watch Free Solo as well. I'm not a climber myself. I've got a bit of an issue with heights, but I do quite enjoy watching people do dangerous things. I don't really know why. Anyway, I'm going to go and find one more thing to take a photo of, I think, and then I'll call it a day, because my parking ticket has nearly run out. Well, I found some very interesting objects, but sadly, I think they probably need a wider focal length to get the most out of them. These are the world's oldest wheels. If you don't know, the wheel was invented in the Peak District about 3 million years ago, and people used to give them to like cousins and their like second best friends for Christmas. Christmas didn't exist 3 million years ago, did it? Like the rest of it's accurate. No, these are milestones, I think they call them milestones, millstones, milestones. And I think they were used for grinding grains and stuff. Somebody will definitely correct me in the comments. Probably a good time to end the video, to be honest. Clearly I've started my waffling phase. Hopefully this was useful for you. It was certainly useful for me. I feel like I've got a bit of the rust off. And I'll see you next time for... I can't remember what for. Still thinking about my rubbish wheel joke. Although better than the deer joke, I think. Oh dear.